how many times is this going to happen? How many times are we going to have to explain to people who don't look like us that this is happening? How many times are they going to ask, well, what did he do wrong? How many times are they going to try to justify his death because he wasn't a good person?
Hello, my name is Mrs. Melanin.
And I'm Beleaf Mel.
And we're here with episode 93 of How Married Are You?
My name Beleaf, this is Yvette, and we've been married 9 years. Live in California, got 4 kids. Relationships scary, and it's very necessary that we share our love, our struggles, and we ask how married are you? Every Tuesday and Thursday, shawty. If you're listening, you're in the wedding party. Sometimes deep, sometimes lighthearted, and I don't know what else to say, so it's time to get it started. Look, it's chocolate baby story time. Hey, look, chocolate baby story time.
It's chocolate baby story time.
1, 2, 3, and...
Chocolate baby story time.
Boom.
Okay, so yesterday,
Yep.
we were driving in the car, and Raya would be asking the most random questions at the most random times. But Raya goes, Mom, how did you know Uzi was a boy when he was first born? And I was like, because he had a penis. He goes, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, Raya is super random. So yesterday was super awkward because I've been outside working on like wood stuff, right? So then we live in a neighborhood, guys, right? A regular neighborhood that's kind of suburban, right? So it's a cul-de-sac. So there's just this little girl of Anglo-Saxon descent just scootering on by. Now, she walks up to me, a whole black man, a very, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's young. And she goes, do you have any kids? Now, she's like on my property, like, you know what I'm saying? And
in your drive, is she in the driveway?
Driveway. I am terrified. Okay. Now, some people were like, why would you be terrified, right? And other people knows exactly why I'm terrified. So I'm like, yeah, I got kids. And she's like, how old are they? And I'm like, I don't know why you're asking me this, and I don't need to answer you, but you're just a child. So I'm just going to, you know what I mean? Just follow along. So I told her. And then she goes, can I play with the 7-year-old? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, well, can I come by and see if he can play? And I'm not sure. All right. So I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know what I mean? Now our kids don't play with any kids around here. They play with each other. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? We're still trying to get to know the neighborhood kind of. And since everything's been going on, it's kind of like, I'm really kind of like, you know about that, huh? You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
And it's been kind of nice too, because the virus, because the kids have been wanting to go out in the front of the house more and like ride their bike and do things. And so there's another little boy that like you know how kids do. They just be riding their bike slowly past, like looking at you like, hi. And we say hi and we're kind, but it's kind of like, I tell the kids, the virus, we can't really like.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And so what's interesting is that, Yvette's about to leave, right? She's about to leave with all the kids, and they start to kind of pile into the car. And so the kids, they're getting into the car, and Raya goes out by himself first to go like check to see if his water bottle's in the car. So he goes out there, and the girl is just like riding up her little scooter, looking all inside our vehicle. And I'm kind of like, man, who baby is this? Like, where's your parents? It's so frustrating, because I know for me, I'd have been like, hey, mind your business. Get out of the people's cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be looking all in their car like that. Like, that's what I would have said.
She was circling the car.
She was like all up in the car. Like, we opened up the trunk and she's looking in the back.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, go away. You know what I mean? But it's a baby. It's a child. You know what I'm saying? And I miss the Beleaf of fatherhood here. I can't be. So the girl starts talking, and Raya is big on like no talking to strangers. Like, he's kind of knowing the rules and stuff like that. So he's like, I ain't talking to nobody who ain't me. So he comes back in the house, and he goes, Dad, I was talking to that girl, but I didn't want to talk to her, but I was scared she was going to take me. Now, the girl's like 8, maybe, you know what I'm saying? And he's 5, but it just was interesting. Like, he was, I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel.
That's so interesting that he would say that, because yesterday, so we were leaving to go watch the sunset. And when we were there, we had to kind of park far. It was like the beaches opened up. It's summer. Everybody was at the beach last night. But we went and we're walking. Like, I have Uzi and Anaya in the stroller. And then I have Theo and Raya. They hold on to the handles. And I hold on to their hands as they're holding on to the handles. And Raya, I'm like, Raya, you got to stick close. Because at some points when we were on like a long strip of a sidewalk, I'm like, okay, you can let go or whatever. And Raya is just
running
every which way.
Around.
I'm like, Raya, you got to just be right here. Do you want somebody to take you? And he accused me of wanting somebody to take him.
Man,
I was like, woe is you, child.
he's
woe
one of them kids
you.
that, like, if it was socially acceptable, he would be on a leash. He would be one of them kids that got one of the body leashes and you got a string,
acceptable.
right? But not for us, right?
Yeah.
But when we're out, I make him hold on to my empty pocket. Like, I pull the bottom of my pocket out and make him hold on to it. So anyway, that's Chocolate Baby story time. Let's hop into the topic today. Babe, we'll be talking about. First of all, let me apologize for the 3rd time that fornication.
Wait, we never put that episode out?
We
done tried to record so many episodes, but they just weren't coming out right. So sorry. Anyway,
we don't agree with fornication. If you fornicating, that's on you, but it is in the Bible. It's called fornication. That's what I don't know what I was on. That's what it says in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? I was on a podcast talking about how the scripture doesn't say not to have sex before marriage, but it actually does. It's called fornication. Yes, I don't know what I was on, but anyway, I'm apologizing for that for the 3rd time. This is the first time you're hearing it, though.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, so we've been MIA for a while, and I know today's Tuesday, and we're supposed to do like a whole Ask How Married Are You episode, but we kind of just we felt like we couldn't do a normal episode until we publicly kind of had an open conversation about everything that's happening right now. There is so much happening right now, and specifically we're talking about this whole, like, what has come of George Floyd's death. And so today we just kind of wanted to take a moment and have that conversation with each other, but with you guys, and just kind of share where we're at, how our hearts are feeling, and all the things.
Yeah. Look at my email right now. See that? Timely request. Time sensitive.
Stop looking at. Can you maybe put your computer to sleep?
No.
Okay.
I will not do that. Anyway, yeah, so
you just did that.
I know, but I don't want you telling me what to do. Yeah.
Lord.
You know, I don't know if we can. I don't even know how to talk about this, but
like I said, we've already tried.
Yeah, we've already tried, but basically it's like, you're just tired. And you're tired of like reliving history. You know what I mean? And the fact that, like, you realize history isn't really history, it's now. And so there's like a whole lot of feelings going on, and a whole lot of like trying to figure out how to cope with, certain things that, are happening in society and happening in the world, and how you feel about that, and then what you tell your children. And then now all of a sudden white people are like, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? And their eyes are being opened, and like there are sensitive, conversations that we're having with those friends, that is kind of like, man, what? Like, you didn't realize this? You know what I mean? So it's just a lot happening, and it doesn't, like, it just brings way more, like, not way more, but it even more, like, just makes me feel like we are doing the right thing, and, kind of telling our story, exposing our lives the way we do. Because, like, my content has always had this undertone of, like, Black pride, and, like, Black love for myself, you know what I'm saying, and our family and our children, and really just trying to reestablish like, yo, it's very normal to be Black, and you know what I mean, to love your family, and to, you know what I mean, because I think that's what that's what is sold to us when we watch certain things, or we discover certain things. It's like there's always drugs and there's always turmoil or abuse, or, you know what I'm saying, and it's just like, nah, that's not it at all, you know. And so I feel like I've been very overwhelmed with like the amount of research and stuff that we've had to do lately, you know what I'm saying, and just like watching a bunch of movies and reading a bunch of content, and like just like, oh my goodness, I feel like we're doing history all over again. But for me, it's been daunting. Like, I don't want to watch Selma ever again in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like I understand why it was important, but like to know that they blew up a church and killed, you know what I'm saying?
You guys, I had watched Selma before, but then I watched it again and I forgot about that whole scene. And I'm sorry if we just did a spoiler alert for you, but man, I feel the same way. I feel like since things happened, I've been watching documentaries and reading articles and relearning history again. I'm not even saying relearning, because I feel like the way that it was taught to us in the public school system was not very accurate. It was kind of like, so there was slavery, and then there was, you know, Harriet Tubman, and then there was a civil rights movement, and then the slaves were freed, and then there was civil rights movement. And, you know, it's like there's a whole bunch of gaps, and there's a whole bunch of lack of information there that we are not taught in our schools. And so I feel like I've been seeking out that information, and the more that I seek it out, the more depressed I get. I feel like it is a very draining and exhausting experience or search for knowledge. And I feel like it was Thursday, so today is Monday. I feel like it was Thursday because on Wednesday Glenn said something to me that really irritated me a little bit.
What'd I do now?
It was during quiet time, and you were like, you want to go for a walk, or you want to do whatever? And I was like, I actually just kind of want to go lay down and be sad. And then you were like, well, how long are you going to do that for? Because guys, that's really been how it's been. I've just been really sad. Yeah. And I tell you, I've said it before, I feel like the kids have seen me cry the most in the last 2 weeks than they have in their entire life. And it's just a heaviness and a grief that I've been carrying around. And Thursday morning, I think is what Glenn said to me on Wednesday, that I got up and I was like, okay, I'm going to be productive. And Thursday morning was the first morning since everything went down with George Floyd that I felt like I was productive. I had a productive morning. And then I feel like since then I've been trying to distract myself with different things from, what's going on. And it's not that I want to forget. And so that's the thing that I think that I've been nervous of, is not so much forgetting, but like suppressing, like allowing things to just kind of fade away, and then things get back to quote unquote normal. But the thing is, I don't want that to happen. Like, I really don't want that to happen. And it feels different this time. And the sad thing is that we're saying this time, because the thing is, this has been happening since forever. Some of the things we know about more now because of, social media, camera phones, technology is getting better. But I feel like this time it's different. And I feel like it's different because this man, like someone, who was it? I think it was Ava DuVernay, who was in an interview somewhere, but I could be wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but was talking about how this time it feels different because you could see the face of the officer and you could see the face of George Floyd. And like it wasn't just a quick, oh, he got shot and whatever. It was like his knee was in this man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. This man was crying out for his mother. This man was saying, I can't breathe. And we've heard that before with is it Eric Gardner that was the one that said I can't breathe. But it's just something different about this time, and I think that the whole Black community is just tired. And we are upset, we're frustrated, it's like, I don't know, man. It's weird because for me, what I've been trying to find is how can I feel this much grief or mourn this much someone's death that I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of similar to when Kobe Bryant died and his daughter died. It's like, I didn't know them, but this is horrible. Like, this is just really sad.
Well, I feel like this, like, I don't feel like it's just the one death.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like this, because I mean, like, since then, there's been like two more deaths in the trans community, and then 2 more deaths of one Black father, I believe, and someone else. Oh, and someone was hung.
I saw that. And
so it's like, I think what happened with George Floyd was just undeniable. You know what I'm saying? And I think what's harder about, like, it was like we actually watched the whole thing. And now, I've never seen the full video.
Me either.
I'm very proud of myself for that. You know what I'm saying? Because after Philando Castile died in 2015, I told myself I wasn't going to watch anymore. It's like you can't just sit here and watch, people that look like you just die over and over and over again, and it not affect you mentally. And so I don't need that type of trauma. You know what I'm saying? Over and over and over again. But like, I never watched the Ahmaud Arbery video. Like, I just haven't watched them, but it's just one of those things where it's kind of like, how many times is this going to happen? How many times are we going to have to try to explain to people who don't look like us that we are, like, this is happening? How many times are they going to ask, well, what did he do wrong? How many times are they going to try to justify his death because he wasn't a good person? You know what I'm saying? It's like, who else is going to have to die for the, so it's kind of like, man, like, for me, I've just been wanting to escape, and, like, I posted on my YouTube channel, I was like, yo, do you guys want to talk about this, or you guys just want escapism? And people were saying both, and no, you can't really escape it. But this one person kind of went in on me and was like, how dare you, like, say that you would even try to escape this? Like, this is up in front of everything. And what do you mean trying to escape? Like, like we've been dealing with this our whole lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want to escape, then I have the right to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm tired, and the tired is just like, it's like a sweater you can't take off. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just hot, and it's like, I cannot live like this. I cannot live with this type of pressure that I'm dealing with, and that we are dealing with. But it is what we live with. It is our reality, and for it to seep into our creativity and everywhere else, is kind of like, man, it's super difficult. So with us, I feel like we were both dealing with certain things separately, and as a unit, we just were kind of like, I don't even know if we could come to each other for comfort, because we were spending it was like every day was a freaking conference call with 7 or 8 white people and 3 or 4 Black people, and 3 different companies. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, okay, next day I'm talking to 12 people who look like me, and then 2 people who don't look like me, and then it was just like, and I felt very much like I was being deployed as the Black voice, and I hated every moment of it. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be the, hey guys,
Like, I feel like what was happening is you were being deployed, like you said, but you weren't even having time to process fully your own feelings of what happened because you had to stick up for whomever.
Yeah. And it's always like yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, you know, like I just been really, really hoping to like that I could like get away. You know what I mean? Like, I really need to. I feel like we need to do breath work again. Like, I just feel like that's really important for us right now. Just meditation and breathing. We need to find a moment to just kind of come back to center. Because like, but it's also like, man, like, we literally have to have the endurance to make this last or the rest of our lives. We can't, like, I can't exhaust all my energy in this moment.
Yes. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like immediately I'm like, what can I do? I got to do something. Yada, yada, yada. Like, this is basically the civil rights movement of 2020. So, like, I'm going to make a mark in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what does it look like for me to be an activist right now for the end of racism, the end of this? Like, how am I going to make it better for my grandchildren? Because I don't believe it's going to be better for our kids necessarily. I mean, it'll be a degree better.
I think it'll be several degrees better. I've never seen this much care. But at the same time, I feel like it's already starting to die down.
I feel like it's a trend because it's like
trendy.
Black Lives Matter is becoming like annoying to me. I'm so sorry to say it. Like, and this might, I hope nobody like whatever.
Why you say that?
It's just because it's not that it's annoying, but it's like, oh, right now that's the thing to say. You know how like when, let's think about it. Oh man. Like I'm sure in the 70s, it's groovy was a saying, or like, what's it? Something that what people said when we were growing up in the 90s.
I don't know. Oh, you just talking about like it's like
a phrase. It's like a catchphrase,
yeah,
like where
like,
it's like
keeping it real.
I'm cool because I said I said Black Lives Matter, which all Black lives do matter, y'all. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel like that companies and people to be politically correct and not get canceled are saying this.
Yeah.
Now, I think some companies have been on this mission for a minute, but other companies are just kind of like, well, we support black people. Da 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 da. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I know you're.
So what I was gonna say is, it's coming. Like, it's kind of like, you guys remember when COVID first started, and every company you ever gave your email to was sending you, this is what we're doing for like COVID-19, yada yada yada. I feel like that's happening now in my email with Black Lives Matter, and I guess that's why I'm saying like, this is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just. Are you being genuine or are you being politically correct? Because I want genuine use of the term. I don't want like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to say, so let me say it type thing.
Right.
Like, do you really have the heart behind what it means for Black lives to matter?
And I guess the proper response to that is, okay, if Black Lives Matter, then how does that affect you? You know, like, what are you going to do? Like, I mean, that's what I like. What's cool is like you see some people put that into action, like Alexis Ohanian, right? So he's the co-founder of Reddit.
Okay.
Serena Williams' husband.
Yes.
And so he stepped down and was like, replace my spot with the black person. Like, a person of color needs to be in my spot. And like removed himself from the board.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, bro, you ain't even have to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just, you know, hired.
Why did he do that?
I have no idea.
Oh. You
know what I mean? But like, that is.
And how can he tell them to just replace him with the black person?
I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm kind of like, bruh. You know what I'm saying?
Some people are a little extra with it.
And so I'm questioning even the companies I'm working with. Like, I have a really great relationship with Dove. You know what I'm saying? Like, at first, our relationship wasn't great. You know what I mean? But we ended up doing a project together that I was already signed on to. And they have, like, kind of came out and just been like, hey, like, we just want to let you know that this is the statement we're going to make. And I'm like, yeah, you sure about that? Because this is not a momentary thing. Like, you need to be about this forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is your stance, like, I was like, just let you know, like I'm already about this. Like, I look like this. My kids look like this. I'm black. I love being black. And this is what I'm fighting for. This is something I'm willing to die for. I don't think you about that life. Are you about that life? And they were like, listen, like, we want to make sure that you understand that we're willing to go to bat for people like you and people who look like you. You know what I'm saying? Until we can't anymore. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, you know, and this is how we're willing to show that. And so I'm going to be posting a video on my YouTube channel this week, probably Thursday, talking about exactly what's happening, because, you know, we have a movie coming out on Friday called Dads. It's a documentary about dads. I'm the first father in it. It talks about 4 different dads. It's amazing. It's an amazing film. Will Smith is in it. Kenan Thompson, who?
Jimmy Kimmel,
Jimmy Fallon, Conan O'Brien, Neil Patrick Harris. Like, it's a really, really, really great film. Ron Howard, like Bryce Dallas Howard is the one who directed it. She was in Jurassic World. Amazing actress and amazing person. And so I'm really glad that we got to partner with them, but I am seeing that some of these companies are really about that life. But when you say, okay, Black Lives Matter, like, how does that affect you? You know what I mean? And so it's bigger than Black Lives Mattering. It's about Black lives, like us breathing without fear. Like, you got to understand, like, when we enter into you got to understand that as a Black man, when a little white girl rides her scooter into my driveway, I'm thinking about what other people are thinking about when they're looking at me through their window. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know where that little girl came from or who was with her, but her grandmother was off in the distance. So I'm thinking about what is happening here. Lord Jesus, help me. Please make me stink, unattractive. Please push this little girl outside of my space and allow me to get through this without anything else happening.
Because all it takes is for something to happen to that little girl. Man. And then somebody say, you know what? I saw her at this person's house over there. You might want to go check him out. They come, police come, look at him. He's minding his business. But next thing you know, he has a police officer's knee in his neck.
Yeah. So
like the thing can escalate. These are the things that we all process.
Yeah. And so I'm like, man, we need, like, I'm trying to stand in front of the camera, the Ring camera, so that people can see, like, I at least have evidence of, like, look,
yeah, she
came on, I'm talking loud. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to make sure that the camera's picking up everything because it's different. We have to maneuver different, you know? And that's why, you know, even when we had to talk with the kids, and you basically had to talk with the kids because I was ruining it. But, you know, we were discussing, like, hey, man, like, some people don't see you like you see yourself. You know, some people don't see you how God sees you. And it's just like one of those things, man, where, like, we are completely trying to communicate, like, what is the truth and how we feel. And those two, the sucky thing about it is, like, we're speaking from, like, how we feel, but how we feel is also truth. And that's unfortunate because sometimes you're like, you walk into a party like, man, it feels like everyone's looking at me. It could just be in your head. But in America, like, being Black, it's not in your head, dog. Like, people really be seeing you like that. And that's the sucky part, man, is that, like, we have to fight, like, that awkwardness all day. And that's part of, like, the reason why I started Beleaf in Fatherhood is because, yo, people really don't know that Black people are normal.
Yeah.
And, like, what happens if I die? Are my children going to have photos? Are they going to have my old albums? Or are they going to have movies? And I wanted them to have a collection of films that if I got killed, unfortunately, in the way that George Floyd died, they would have proof that I was not who the media may make me seem to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, that dude wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? Like, there would be enough proof for that. So, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like myself, what I'm dealing with is a lot of, like, suppressed grief or whatever, is because I feel like, you know, as a Black woman in America, my experience definitely looks a lot different than yours as a Black man walking through America. And recently I feel like what's coming, like what's bubbling, things are bubbling up to the surface, like memories that I have of times when I've felt my blackness. And I mean, I always feel my blackness. I mean, I feel like we as Black people probably always feel our blackness, depending on where you grow up. But in California, being born and raised in California, you definitely are feeling your blackness quite a bit. Or in where am I? San Diego County. Anyway, I keep like going back to experiences that I've had, and I'm like, man, like I've never really dealt with those things or addressed them. And so I don't know why I brought that up, but it's just a thing. But I will say that I was in the grocery store the other day, Saturday morning. And I was standing. So I told you about this, I think. There was a man who was wearing like a firefighter t-shirt. So it's obvious that he's a firefighter. But he was wearing also a mask that was like of the American flag. And I felt so triggered. First of all, it seemed like it was like we were in the produce section and I was here, and he could, you guys can't see if you're listening, but he was like supposed to be coming this way, but then all of a sudden it seemed like he decided to go the other direction. And I was like, it's like you're reading into everything. So I felt that. But then when it was time for me to check out, there was literally only one, because I was there at like 6 o'clock in the morning. There was only one checkout stand open, and I just so happened to be behind him in line. And I felt like there was something there, you know, but it was sad to me how triggered I was, because I feel like had that been before George Floyd, I probably wouldn't have been as triggered as I was. But it was like, man, the American flag is kind of like the Confederate flag to me right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that's a symbol of freedom or a symbol of like pride for me.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of like
injustice.
Yeah. And it's so like, it's like every thread that was used to create that flag is another like
stab in the backs of Black people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I just, part of me is like, everybody who's Black I know needs to have a firearm. Part of me is like, part of me is like insanely militant. We need to arm our children. We need to arm ourselves. We need gas masks. We need this. We need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to stay ready so we ain't got to get ready. Do your push-ups. Eat your lentils. You know what I mean? Like, don't play around. And then the other part of me is like, really, that part of me doesn't even leave. That part of me is always there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of like, every Black person I know needs to own a firearm. I don't care what you say. I saw somebody who was like, yeah, I don't need a firearm. I got God. Cool. I bet you Botham Jean thought the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he wish he would have had a firearm in his hand when that woman opened his door. Botham Jean or whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, there's another side of me, though, that is kind of like, man.
But even if he did have a firearm, the sad thing is, if she would have been the one who was dead, Lord.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's
Don't
like,
even get.
But that's the thing. It's like, I'd rather be alive.
In jail?
I'd rather be alive. I'd rather be alive, man.
In jail.
I'd rather be alive. I just rather be alive.
Dang.
So that's the thing. It's like, I said this on a song, Plate, right? If I fight, then I'm selfish. If I die, then I'm celebrated. Like, if you fight, people think of you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you killed that person. Like, but if I die, there's all types of murals and there's names and there's protests
and hashtags.
Like, I'd rather
GoFundMes.
I'd rather be alive. You know what I'm saying? And I just rather fight, man. And that's the thing. It's like, in a way, I feel like we are fighting, by sharing what we share. But I also feel like it has to come to another level of educating, because I do feel like we should like, we as black people, we need to at least be armed. Like, we need to be able to protect ourselves. And I'm thinking like, man, and we were talking about this the other day, and this is gonna get me on the FBI watch list. They're gonna start to follow me after this. Like, okay, so the lawyer for the police officer, David Chauvin or whatever, was talking to some guy, Cuomo, I think, one of the CNN guy, I don't know, and he was like, you know, none of the people were standing around watching the officer do this. Is what the lawyer's saying, and no one intervened.
The lawyer for the police officer?
Yes. So I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that civilians could have intervened while 4 police officers
were guarding the one police officer?
Yeah, or you know, so we're like securing an arrest. But I'm thinking like, yo, like, would I have been bold enough to intervene? You know what I'm saying? Like, would I have been bold enough? Because then that means I'm going to jail, or I'm finna die too. But like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's gonna take that type of rowdiness for us to like, nah. We're not gonna wait for this kid to die. We gonna get you now. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, it's a whole different narrative, you know? So that's why I'm like, we need to move. Where do we go? And I put it up on Instagram, and the number one place they told us to go was Ghana. Now,
did you look up anything about Ghana? How's Ghana treat the black people, especially
I seen
black
some pictures.
Americans?
I don't know about the pictures. I'm gonna need somebody else to send me some pictures because the internet's hating on Ghana. All I know is the I heard the Jollof is lit there. But,
oh my goodness, you know I love Jollof.
But
it's interesting you bring that up because I talked to my therapist about that yesterday. I was like, my husband's ready to die for this. And I was like, I would really like to believe that I am ready to die for this. And so I keep replaying the whole incident of George Floyd in my mind. And if I were one of the people standing there watching this happen, would I have done something to step in for that guy? I mean, for that man's life? Would I have risked the other 3 police officers potentially hurting me really badly or killing me as a result of trying to save this man's life? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 4 kids. Like, I don't know. And then she was talking about how, I forget her terminology for it. I feel like she said something about intersecting highways, but she was just talking about how, like, it's a different narrative as far as you being like a male and me being a female, and the way that I'm processing these things. Like, I'm thinking about it through the lens of I have people that need me alive, and you're thinking about it as that man needs to be alive. And I'm sure you're probably considering the fact that I
would be risking your life, Theo, Uriah, Anaya, and Uzi's life as well as mine.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's kind of like.
But the thing is, I would want someone to do it for you.
Who exactly?
Yeah.
Like, who among us is willing to risk it?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of like, man, like that. Nah, man. Like, I'm just sitting there like, okay, I don't know what to do here. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like somebody could have threw a chair or something, but it's like you're risking everything by doing that. Mm-hmm. Like, I like, and then like, man, you talk to Christians about it, and it's just like, yeah, man, God's grace, such. It's like, I can't even believe we go to the same church, dog. Like, I understand, but like, who among us is gonna be rowdy? You know what I mean? Like, who among us is gonna step in the moment and be a hero? Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the other side of that street look like, and I can't tell if I'm walking up and I'm seeing the police officers apprehending someone, and it seems like they got it all under control. Like, I don't know what happened before that, but at the same time, it's like you hear a dude calling out for his mama. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't assume that I would make the right decision there, but I would hate myself for not. But I would be triggered from that moment on, you know what I'm saying, and being like, Yeah, this ain't finna happen again. I don't know, man. I feel like we need our own police. I feel like we need our own communities. I feel like we need our own police. And I know that seems like really segregated, but it's like, yo, like, we had the Black Panther Party, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's so interesting, like, to hear you say things like that, because when I was talking about moving so that our children can have more Black community, you were kind of like, you know, you didn't seem.
Well, that's not, I think you were doing it because like you wanted them to see other Black kids.
Yeah.
And that's not why I was doing it. I'm talking about, I don't trust the systems.
I understand that, but for me, it was a combination of things. It wasn't necessarily for them just to see only, but it's because of the mindset that Black children have to have when they're walking from our house to 7-Eleven. They need to know if the police, you know what I mean? Like, versus our children walking around with some of their other friends who are non-Black. They don't have the same sensitivities that Theo, Raya, and Anaya, and Uzi should have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if that little white girl does become friends with them, she's probably just going to be, look at how friendly she was.
Oh, God, please. Let's act like it never happened. God.
You know what I'm saying? But like, there are certain children that have liberties that our children don't have. And so for our kids, like for our children to be able to have the freedom to understand things, but still be able to enjoy life without feeling overly anxious. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I don't know that segregation is the answer to anything. And I don't know that that's what you're really saying when you make that statement.
I'm not saying segregation. I'm saying that we do need, like, I need the ability to be able to, like, protect myself against the police without it being, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need to be like, nah, man, dude came over my house. He had his hand on his weapon. I felt threatened, so I shot him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the end of the story. Stand your ground. Back up. Do you know what I mean? I feel, yeah, man. I don't know, man. I don't have a solution here. Only know that we're shining a light, and I know it's positive. But if we're not educating and teaching our people how to do the same, you know what I mean? Or protect themselves, like, I don't really want to do this that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest. We almost up.
We're good. We have 7 minutes.
All right. How married are you?
I'm so married. The other day, I went to the store and I got myself, I like the Chex Mix, but I like the honey, the sweet, savory one. And the last couple of times I bought it, there are mornings I wake up and I'm like, dang, what happened here? Glen be just waking up in the middle of the night snacking. And so this last time I bought myself a bag, I bought a second bag so that Glen could have his own bag, so that if that happened, then he could just.
And it did happen. Sure did.
And it did happen. And so I still have mine, actually, that I can snack on. Yep. How married are you, babe?
I'm so married that after I put together that whole shiplap wall and that whole thing, you had the bright idea to go ahead and start a mantle. And I did it. I'm doing it. But basically, I was planning on not doing that for a while. And you talked me into doing it, and we are doing the mantle.
Let's be honest. Why are you really doing it?
Why am I really doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, for the TV?
Yeah, fool.
I mean, we could have mounted the TV.
We can't mount the TV until after Raya's birthday. We're doing a birthday party for Raya, and it's not COVID savvy, but things are opening up. But we're gonna have the kids play video games. But
we should have some masks.
But we're gonna put the TV outside. So
can we have them wear masks?
I don't really want to make them do that. But
why?
If you want to do that, that's totally fine.
Let's make them wear masks, man.
Okay. Anywho, what was I gonna say just now? Yeah. And so, anyways, until that happens, which isn't for a couple of weeks, I'm thinking Glenn wants to get the mantle up there so we can sit the TV on the mantle before we mount it. We'll mount it after Raya's party. I don't know. Anyways, I feel like he did it for me. Yes, never mind. That's just how married you are. And that's just how married we are.